Hello and welcome back. I am 13 and we're going to be playing another Legacy Transition. So this is a Legacy deck that's fallen a little bit out of flavor recently and we're going to try to modern. But 13, didn't you remember Angel Stompy? That was horrible, abysmal. It was like the worst deck you've ever done. Yes, I do. But whatever. We're going to play bad decks. That's what we do. So, Rug Delver. Again, this has fallen a little bit out of flavor. So, a couple of printings in Legacy made this less appealing. Uh, True Name Nemesis is still going to be the ace in the hole. This deck also runs off a Stifle. Stifling a fetch land is part of the reason Rug Delver works, and Wasteland is the other. So, of course, let's go to Modern where neither of those things exist. But what this deck will do is put out a threat, one of these three preferably, and protect it until the point that it goes the distance. So Delver is one of those decks that can typically put attacks on combo decks. You typically try to like force of will or interact with the opponent and then have your threat go the distance and kind of put a clock on, keep them under pressure. And we're hopefully going to see a little bit of that tonight, but so we're going to have those threats. We get to back it up with Snapcaster Mage, Bolt Snap Bolt, always a favorite. Anybody who watches my stream knows I love Bolt, despite the fact it's not really in a great position at the moment. We also get Thought Scour. Thought Scour is kind of triple purpose here. It's a cantrip. It fuels the yard for Nimble Mongoose. It fills the yard for Tormagoyf. Just all around doing exactly what we want this deck to do. It also puts lands in the yard for Renin 6. So we're going to be playing a little bit of a spell package on top of our tempo threats. And then last but not least, we are playing the Renin 6 package. So Renin 6 is a very strong Planeswalker. In Legacy, he picks up Wasteland. In our deck, he picks up Ghost Quarter. So we are probably going to get cheesed out by some of the snow basic decks running around. It's going to be a little bit harder for us to get our lock under control, but we can always sack our new Canopy lands and buy them back. Renin 6 can also remove a couple of good cards like Young Pyromancer, Snapcaster Mage, but that's the deck. So we're going to play a little bit of tempo, play a little bit of control, land a threat, try to go for it, and that's what we're working with tonight. All right, I actually have the wrong overlay up. That looks better. Oh boy, and yeah, Sultai Control did not do well last night. Oh, sorry, that wasn't last night. I should also apologize. So I did stream last night. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible run of... This is fine. We have a Delver. We don't really have a way to protect it, but we have cantrips. Of Narset Cannon. And yeah, it was bad. Like, we literally got Dahlia locked, Chalice locked, Graveyard locked. Like, it just didn't go off. I typically love Narset Cannon, but that one just really wasn't worth showing. I think we took one game of 11. So, ended up just not posting it to YouTube. So, sorry if you're looking forward to a video from Monday. Alright, well, let's just go ahead and lead on Steam Vents and Delver of Secrets. Basically, see if opponent's on removal. Looks like we're playing against Infect. Not revealing the Noble Hierarch. So I'm going to fetch to start here. The fetch is going to make it so that the Serum Visions won't ever get shuffled. We got to get a green source. This is going to be a Noble Hierarch. Then get in beats for 2. Again, we kind of just want a tempo. Unfortunately, can't protect our threat, but let's get some damage in, and then let's try to set up a flip here. Okay, more than plenty of lands, and Surgical, despite probably not being good in this matchup, is a way to flip Delver. Let's leave it on top, and we'll probably Thought Scour it during our upkeep after the trigger. Main board Dissenter's Deliverance. Okay, so this is looking like it's possibly a cycling deck. That one deck is really helpful, Brad One. What is that one deck? I actually don't recognize this. Oh, the land deck? Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and reveal the Surgical and then just mill past it. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Okay, so first things first, we are going to attack in for 4. then I actually think we're probably on... Nimble Mongoose can attack next turn and put opponent on a 2-turn clock. Yeah, we're going to have to Nimble Mongoose. Sorry, Renin 6. You... Oh, never mind. I get to do both. I'm good at this game. I've played Magic before. It's not impossible that I actually Ghost Quarter my own land here just to turn on Nimble Mongoose. It's not where you want to be at, but... Neoform? Oh, yeah, you're right. Looks like Neoform. Alright, so they get a Grizzle Daddy. They get to draw 7. We can top deck a Bolt. Wow, gain 15. Alright. This is when a Force of Negation would have been nice. And it is possible that they fizzle. It's not very likely, but it is possible. They're going to draw 14 here, leaving 12 cards in deck. Make their land drop. I actually need to turn off auto yields in case this is a lightning storm. Lightning storm is going to be 3 times twice the number of lands that they discard. Nourishing Shoal gains them another 7. There's Lab Maniac. So they've already used 2 Simian Spirit Guides. They need the last Nourishing Shoal. They do have enough mana if they have the other Simian Spirit Guide to Manamorphose. Alright, they got it. Postboard. That's going to be Cindervine so that they take damage whenever they cast a non-creature spell. Probably, obviously Narset, but probably Nimble Obstructionist. That can at least stifle a draw 7 trigger. It does cost 3 mana, but that might be relevant. Let's see what we're actually taking out. So, Surgical can technically take their... By the way, Bradwan, I think it was you. I think I gave you some bad advice on your control video or something. Surgical can take their Nourishing Shoal, so if they haven't drawn their entire deck, it takes out all of their gas. Or if we find a way to get them to kill off a Allosaurus Rider, it means that they'll never be able to Neoform again. Young Pyromancer's in here for a little bit grindier matchups. Abraid's not going to kill anything. Noble's kind of meh. Lightning Bolt can take them off a 7 draw or kill them if they go low enough. All the counter spells are fantastic. Probably just Nimble Mongoose. It's a little late to turn into a threat. I can bring in Nimble Obstructionist, but it would probably be over Nimble Mongoose, and I don't think Stifle Trigger is worth it. I'd rather have a real clock. Alright. All kinds of protection here. So, 100% keeping this. Opponent won't be interacting with our Delver. We're going to have essentially 2 counter spells, and if we happen to find a second on-color land, we're going to be able to Renin 6 and start getting our attrition plan on. Opponent's on a Chancellor of the Tangle. Quick look at the deck. We have Bolt in red, Renin 6 Nimble, and Noble in green, so yeah, we're going to get Breeding Pool here. That's a Breeding Pool. Delver. Oh, the other card I was going to put into the sideboard was the Veil of Summer. Yep, Manamorphose away. Using that as a cantrip usually means that their hand's not the best, but this could be an Allosaurus Rider into a Neoform. Just put me in my place. Yep. And Snapcaster's the least good card here. Alright. I think I just talked myself into Nimble Obstructionist over Lightning Bolt as a blue pitch. And I keep forgetting, if I'm going to talk about a card, I should at least supply the Oracle text for it, so... our hand is Noble Hierarch, no interaction. This is, again, no interaction, but I don't think it's going to get much better than this. Oh, it's Veil of Summer, that's why. Draw a card if the opponent has cast a blue or black spell. Spells you control can't be countered this turn. You and permanents get hexproof from those colors. So, yeah, I think we have to keep this. We're going to ship back Thought Scour. We're not going to be casting that for a couple of turns. If the opponent's not on the most busted 6-card start of their life, we can at least probably start Ghost Quartering them out. They're on a greedy mana base. There's our Delver. Is this just to run it back? Okay. Yes, reveal the Thought Scour. We're going to go get a Breeding Pool for our trouble. Get a Wrenn and 6. Pick up our land. Swing for 3. Now, opponent might be on Eldritch Evolution, so still might be dead here. Alright. So, not dead yet. I'm actually going to try to cantrip and see if I can set something up here. Ugh, both of those are awful. Yeah, I think we're just going to start the Ghost Quarter lock. So this is 2 colors. This one's eventually going to go away. Pick up Ghost Quarter. And we're going to make it hard for our opponent to actually continue unless they combo off here really quickly. I'm leaving up Thought Scour. Going to use it in step because I'd like to find a Force of Negation, but I can at least use it in response. Ooh, that's no bueno. There's the Neoform, so Thought Scour away. They left up the green this turn, so they probably had the Vel. They do only get to draw 7 here. But having a Grizzlebrand on the table is super bad. We even milled the Force of Negation? That's lame. So how do we deal with a Grizzle Daddy? We no longer have Bolt. Yeah, I think we just don't deal with Grizzle Daddy. So Summoner's Pact here means that they have the Nourishing Shoal. Yep. Alright, and then it's possible for them to fizzle, so we're just hope they fizzle. Future counter spells are probably turned off at this point because of the Veil of Summer. Nourishing Shoal for 7. They only need 1 Simian Spirit Guide for Lightning Storm or Oh, I guess I actually should turn off auto yields now in case they try to lightning storm. So concede to a lab man. All right. I'd like to say GG's, but it's never fun to be on that side of it. I would like to say we put up a fight, though. We technically had them very close to dead both games that they went off. If we would have just had one more attack, they would have drawn 7 less cards and not actually been able to go for it. That's where 4 Force of Negations probably would have been helpful. Unfortunately, we actually don't have enough blue cards to make that possible. We have a decent number, but I know Frank Karsten did an article. If I'm going to reference it, I should probably try to find it. Oh, look at that. We found it already. How many blue cards for Force of Will? So there is a Force cycle. He actually brought it back with the new forces. So number of other blue spells with 4 in deck. We can... So how many do we have? We have 4, 7, 10, 14, 18, 20. We have 20, which means we have a decent success rate. That actually probably would have been fine. Ooh, that is disgusting. That is significantly better. All right, let's keep that guy without the Ren and 6 in sight. We're going to tuck the Ghost Quarter. And Faithless Looting. I'm going to be greedy and go for this. Exiling it is probably highest upside, plus they're looking like they're on Red Phoenix at this point, or Red Prowess, one of the two. Rather not have them put 2 in the bin. Oh yeah, look at that. So good at this game. I want Breeding Pool here so I can Islet this turn. Actually, I'm kind of picturing a Blood Moon. I think I'm going to go get my island. Island it is. There's Mr. Goyf. Goyf, unfortunately, will die to a Lightning Bolt here. That was probably some bad sequencing. Yep. Alright, well, I'm out of pressure, and opponent looks like they're about to go off. They are at least Red Prowess, though. Maybe not Red Phoenix. That's also fine. So Islet here means I can bolt and make Mongoose a 3/3 next turn, but that also means that I have to force into the... Yeah, that's not great. That is a Seasoned Pyromancer discarding 2 Phoenixes. So that was a good call. Alright, well... I have to crack the Islet here. Oh boy. Let's hope opponent can't go off. They get a turn. Alright, another Faithless Leading means these Arclight Phoenixes are pretty much coming back. I'd love to find my Surgical at this point. Although they are kind of flooded given the fact that they missed a couple of land drops. And that Lava Dart means that... Actually, that Lava Dart means that they're probably bolting Goyf. That does turn on my Mongoose, though, if they kill it. Nope, conservative there. Alright, not letting them eat Goyf. It's just not happening. Another Mongoose is okay, but it's not great. Opponent has 1 card in hand. I have to kill an Arclight Phoenix. I have to... It is getting chump blocked by an elemental token. Mongoose number 2 means that nothing on the ground should be able to swing in. I can eat an Arclight Phoenix in combat. Take 3, maybe 4 if they swing in with the elemental, although it's likely on chump block duty. That's not good. They're just refueling. All right. One Phoenix down. I have to crack this to grow the mongooses, and I want the other breeding pool. One and 2. Take 4. Still dead on the crackback. That's a Delver. So they have to find Burn to kill me here. And I have to flip Delver. Ugh. Ugly, ugly position to be in. That's first cantrip. That's Faithless Looting, so they find another spell and I'm dead to the Phoenix attacks. They have a Lava Dart in the yard. We're good. We're moving on. Alright, well, this is where his Ecstatic Caster comes in. This is where Cindervines comes in. And probably... Nah, EE's too slow. His Ecstatic Caster will clean up all the tokens. Cindervines will make it so after comboing off they die. Spell Pierce is likely a little weak. My own Young Pyromancer is weak if I'm going after the elemental tokens. Goyf is still great. Mongoose is still great because of the hexproof. Delver dies to Lava Dart on one, and they showed us at least 3 of them. Sure, why not? Actually, I might want Tireless Trackers at this ratio. Just count on not wanting anything that actually dies to Gut Shot. Okay, this is a perfectly serviceable hand. We don't have a threat yet, but we're going to keep opponents so far off of what they're doing that it won't matter. Probably shouldn't have led on Misty, although that was the only way to get red in case I have to Lightning Bolt on one. Okay, well, I'm not actually going to pay the shock for this because I'm likely going to Bolt and Thought Scour or just Thought Scour next turn. Actually, let's do this. This is conservative, but they are a burn deck. That's a Manamorphose, perfectly acceptable. Hopefully they commit and on their yard and I can just Surgical. That'd make me happy. That's a Faithless Looting I was expecting, so 1 Phoenix hits the yard. Then a Lava Dart, just that they can get the Phoenix back. We're going to eat the Arclight Phoenix, paying life. Before we take the screenshot, let's actually blow this out. So, 2 Grim Lavamancers, 2 Blood Moons. They have a Bedlam Reveler and 2 Bolts in hand? Oh, that's disgusting. And a Rough and Tumble. Alright, now we want the screenshot. Always make sure to take the one out of the yard. Yeah, I mean, nothing else super important there. So they have 3 Seasoned Pyromancers and 2 Grim Lavamancers. I think that means that I'm not bolting anytime soon. Cindervines and my Static Caster. Oh, that's disgusting. Ghost Quarter by itself doesn't do much here. What am I actually looking at? I have a snow-covered island and that's it. In Legacy, Blood Moon absolutely wrecks you because you run 0 basics. I added 1 island just because of the prevalence of Field of Ruin and similar effects. So I'm going to bolt now, expecting opponent to have one more spell and then sack the lava dart. There it is. I guess a Braid would have been a little bit more mana efficient, but now I can at least get the Swift Spear off the table. But I am also at 5, and opponent is a burn deck. Well, that's a clock that can keep up with a burn deck. Opponent does have a Bedlam Reveler in hand with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spells, so here comes the Reveler. Draws 3 fresh cards. Alright, expect them to just be going for the prowess triggers here, although I'm likely dead. That's a red deck. Yeah, there's a lava spike. Oh, okay. Light up the stage isn't dead yet. Dismember and Mountain. Well, Mongoose having Shroud is mildly relevant here. I say mildly because he's on chump block duty. And I'm dead to the Grim Lavamancer activation, so gotta kill that. Force of Negation means I'm at least alive for another turn. I don't see a lava dart there, but... Oh yeah, the Dismember. Oh well, I was dead to the attack anyway. Alright, anything good? Another Goyf means if they whiff again, I'm still alive. So I'm playing 6, 9, 10, 14, 15. I'm playing 19 lands. We have seen so many of them, and that's not even thanks to Ren and 6. Alright, well, moving to the heroic 0-2 bracket. So, not the best showing so far. Again, my missing card there is Delver of Secrets. We are attempting to play a tempo game plan. We haven't really seen it yet, but hopefully going to win on the back of one of these guys. Bedlam Reveler was just bigger. We saw some awkwardness attacking into Seasoned Pyromancer and multiple tokens. Needed to find some better sideboard hate there. Surgicals are main board just because so many decks require like one piece to go off, and Phoenix and Dredge are at the top of the meta. Force of Negation. I probably could have played that better in the Neoform decks. But let's see what we can do. Okay, this is fine. This is a Serum on 1, and then Spell Snare on 2 with Lightning Bolts up. And then we have Surgical if they try to do some unfair shenanigans. Yeah, I have to lead on Steam Vents here. Because I need to use this to get a breeding pool, and I currently have red cards in hand, but not green. Unfortunately, the Scalding Tarn might get a little awkward if I want to keep multiple cards, but I need a clock, so Goyf goes to the top. I actually might be looking at playing Renin 6 next turn, depending on what we're playing against. And it's burn again. Okay, so likely actually leaving up the Spell Snare at this point for Eidolon and bolting the Goblin Guide after attacks. Which means this is probably getting me an island. Surgical's also a pretty dead draw. Alternatively, I just bolt their creatures. This is the pause crap. I accidentally misclicked through my combat phase. But that's fine. We're just going to deal with their creature. Alright, and this is where Renin 6 shows a lot of strength. So I get a Renin 6 here, and then pick up my land to make my land drop. And then that's going to make it so that I can actually kill the Goblin Guide or counter the Eidolon, whatever seems more appropriate at the time. It's where 19 lands shouldn't be a liability, but... Now, the way that this works is you can usually use Goblin Guide as a scribe, but seeing as how I'm going to have to crack anyway, I'd rather be able to see what's on top of my deck. So this is where we go get a Steam Vents. We're going to take the shock anyway because Goblin Guide's going to hit us, but would have hit us. Alright, Helix on Renin 6. That's acceptable terms. The timing there is slightly odd, but we found a Delver. Alright. Well, I'll make my land drops as long as they let me. Then I can go get my basic, so I am going to run out Delver here. I don't have enough mana to snap and do something else, so... If I need to Spell Snare, Scalding Tarn gets basic. If not, it gets a duel. And hopefully this is where we turn the corner. Although opponent has 3 cards in hand and they're burn. Ghost Quarter. I do not want to reveal the card, but I'm not going to Surgical to get rid of it, though. That's just shenanigans. Alright, well, I don't want to give them the mana unless I absolutely have to. I'm going to Ghost Quarter their Canopy Land. I think that means I have to do it now, though. We can figure out if the Ghost Quarter plan is worth it or not. I think most of the time they're on 2 to 3 basics. Alright, so they either have sorcery speed things or they have requirement things like Searing Blazes and Spectacles. Yep, that happens. Was completely right about the Searing Blaze. That always feels nice. Alright, now I don't want to Ghost Quarter willy-nilly because it's very possible that they have a Searing Blaze and that'll be their landfall drop. I'm currently attacking for 10. Oh man, if that was a bolt, this would be lethal. Alright, well, I'm not going to try to Ghost Quarter lock here. I have a Braid if they're on a haste creature. So I think that just means I'm swinging in, and hopefully they don't have double bolts in hand. I guess I was 2 off. Jeez, I cannot math right now. Yep. You got it? You do got it. Alright, so... Oh... I was going to say let's Surgical to see their deck, but that's not going to work. Alright, post board. EE's fine. Oh boy, I don't like any of this. We just need to do a little bit better on the tempo plan. We didn't have a threat in our opening hand. Nimble Obstructionist is probably okay. At the very least, it's a 3-1 flyer. Spell Snare, Spell Pierce are still alright. Noble just adds to the clock. This is an unremovable creature. They have so much removal, I think that means Delver's out. Just because both sides of this die to a Lightning Bolt, it's never going to stick around. It's probably an argument against Nimble Obstructionist, but have to make some amount of consideration. So Cindervines will deal 1 damage. It might help us race a little bit. I guess it also hits Eidolon. I actually think I'd prefer to have this over the Obstructionist. Narset could help us remove a counter spell and might get them on a Canopy land, but it's just not good enough. Is it the Static Caster can kill Grim Lavamancer, which is probably relevant? Mono Red Prowess / Phoenix did bring it in against us, but I did have Grim Lavamancers on the side for this deck, but Nimble Mongoose needing 7 cards in the yard just felt so awkward. They are the white version. They could potentially be bringing in Rest in Pieces. That actually shut off 7 of our threats. 11 if you count Snappy. Guess EE's fine for that. Plus we actually have the Cindervines. Alright, so this is a turn 1 Nimble, turn 2 Ren. Why did I leave Surgical in? Chat, I blame you. I was distracted. I mean, it's 100% my fault, but I blame you. Oh boy, this is painful. This is so painful. But it's threats and interaction. This is what our deck likes to do. So right now I'm contemplating just firing off a Surgical on their land. This hand I don't actually see much progress being made. I'm going to have to pay a life to get Ren out. I'm going to have to pay a life to get Snappy out. Okay, Spell Pierce gives me some hope. I think I want to go for my land here though, which means Ren and 6. I'll have to hold up interaction for a future turn. Groot, I have higher expectations of you. Alright. Yeah, I think plussing for no value is probably the best here. Pinging for 1 doesn't seem relevant. If I ping for 1, I can actually get opponent down to... Yeah, nothing that actually will end the game. So let's do that. Plus for no value. Swing in, hold up either Snap as a flash blocker for a Goblin Guide or Spell Pierce Lightning Bolt. I'm I'm also not overly opposed to just sacking the Fiery Islet here. Just try to find my actual interaction I care about. What are you going at? Me? Apparently don't care about Ren and 6 with the mode shut off. Eidolon. Alright, well, Snapcaster is an Ambush Viper here. Won't be multi-spelling anytime soon. So I still need red available. Yeah, let's do this. That's an Abrade. I want to try to let opponent do some damage to themselves if possible. And then I can hold up Abrade or Bolt and Spell Pierce. Opponent should be pretty well aware of the fact that my Nimble Mongoose won't be able to be a 3-3 off of anything. But they also hit 4 lands, which is quite a bit for them. Alright, being conservative. Right now my clock is actually better than theirs if they're following this play pattern. I guess I can find more creatures than me, but... Man, just finding all the lands. Oh my gosh. The line I wanted to take was attack in with both creatures, then Ren and 6 could kill Eidolon if they try to chump block it, and then I can just Abrade and Lightning Bolt away both their creatures, but I didn't get a red source. I played my snow-covered island. Alright, well, let's send in Nimble Mongoose then. Okay. Apparently the Mongoose with Rip Out is a threat. I'll take that. His opponent just wants to unload some spells here. Targeted at me, so Spell Pierce is off. That's fine. Yes, Helix does actually put them a little quicker in this race. And Boros Charm is well worth piercing. And Swift Spear is well worth abrading with the Prowess trigger on the stack. Alright. This Surgical is looking awful. If we go to game 3 and I don't pull this out, you guys need to yell at me. I completely forgot it was in the deck. So we are back in a position where opponent has 3 cards in hand and we are at 9 with no defenses up. And we just keep drawing lands. Apparently we're good at that. I did learn my lesson from last hunt, though. We're getting another red source out. And they have a Boros Charm. All right. Opponent is respecting Spell Pierce now. Burn is pretty deterministic. Like, if they slow roll it, they'll probably get there. Them going to end step means I just need to fire off my damage. Okay. That's a Termagoofy. Alright, so they get one, two. They have basically 4 cards to deal 2 damage. And my Tarmagoofy's a 0/1. Alright, Burn gets it. I like playing Burn apparently. Like, they just loved to put me in the Burn bracket. So we could have any number of things to try to get past Burn, like Pulse of Marasas, Feed the Clans. I want to say there's a really good green-red spell that does it, but I'm probably misremembering that. Oh, I was probably thinking of Fiery Justice, and that's your opponent gains it. Number of lifelinker cards. I don't know. But, wow, so not a good showing yet. We have played Red Prowess slash Phoenix and Burn. And we do move to 0-3. Game 1 was Neoform. Maybe we could use more counter spells. We're not black, so we don't get to take advantage of the discard. This is going to be a turn 1 likely Breeding Pool hand. Or just a Fiery Islet, be able to Bolt or Thought. Yeah, I like Bolt or Thought Scour. But this is a little bit of interaction, a little bit of setup and a threat. Wow, Neoform twice and Burn twice. I know how to pick my opponents. They're just going for it. All right. So we'll see if they packed. The only way we can win at this point is if they packed and whiff. Nourishing Shoal is going to draw them to 25 cards left. It's high probability that they don't whiff. Okay, they can't. The last, it has to be like the last 4 cards in their deck for them to whiff. All right, so same sideboarding plan. Narset and Cindervine's coming in. Then we're probably going to be trimming on some of the slower to build up threats. Yep, that looks like it's about it. Opponent has no idea what we're doing, so they just get to run it back. This is a Spell Snare on 1, and a Cindervine's on 2. So this is actually doable. Although I don't have a red source. Alright, that's a Delver. That's a way to get a red source. We already have a Ghost Quarter and no Wren, so... Shocking in the Breeding Pool is what I was trying to avoid. I was really hoping to hit a fetch off the top. This tells them that we have interaction or something coming. And seeing as how we left up blue last turn and never used it, they've got to expect we have a Spell Pierce or a Spell Snare. Unfortunately, opponent is also going to get 2/3 mana next turn, which means that they might just Eldritch Evolution. But they did keep a 7, so I don't know. What are the odds that they had the absolute netter butters? Probably pretty high. They just always seem to have it. I guess they could go for Neoform, expecting Spell Pierce and holding up a Simian Spirit Guide to pay for the rest of it. So, yeah, just the Steam Vents. There's a Cinder Vines. This just makes it a little harder for them to combo off. They're going to have to pay life every time they cast a spell. Yeah, I was a little confused why they didn't attack in last turn. I guess I could have Ambush Vipered it. So there's a Delver. Then... do I just want to bolt this? I think I do, because it looks like they're pinched on mana. They can't Pact Negation it, so if they are counting on it, this is just going to set them back a full turn. Yep, as expected. And discarding to hand size. Love to reveal another bolt. That means I'm currently holding 9 damage in hand, which is putting me on Snap Bullet in step and then probably kill them the following turn. I didn't actually do the math, but that's looking like the right numbers. Oh. Or they just didn't get to go off. I don't know why I want those Nimble Obstructionists so bad. They only counter a Grizzlebrand activation, but we're probably fine the way we are. They did see Cindervines, though, which means they're probably bringing in destruction for our enchantments. We have no direct hate, but we have a clock and cantrips. I think we have to go for it. London Mulligan's really helped us out here, and this is fine. We can tuck a Thought Scour. I'm probably not casting it anytime soon. Opponent is currently on the mold of 5. And keeps 5. This is going to get me a breeding pool. But I have to hold up counter magic, otherwise I can just lose. And I really need to get a clock out there as soon as possible. Oh, am I supposed to bolt the Cantor? They missed their land drop. I always bolt the bird, regardless of how bad the bird is. We are also playing blue. They're probably trying to hold up the Veil of Summer. I hate this, but I have to. That's draw 7 cards. Okay, so that's a start. Um, I have to hold up Spell Snare. I think I'd prefer to represent the Bolt, despite the fact we don't have it. So still under a couple of layers of protection. I don't feel great where we're at, but yep, get your cantrip on. I assume they're looking for a land. Yeah, using a gemstone mine counter for that never feels good. I'm not going to reveal the breeding pool. I will shock in to play the breeding pool. Cast my Cinder Vines. Again, the goal is just make it as hard for them to go off as possible. It would be great if we were attacking for 3 every turn. That's what the idea of this deck is supposed to be, but without Brainstorm or Ponder, it gets a little bit harder. Now that I have 3 mana, I can set up not this turn, but the future turn with the Serum Visions. I'd love to see my card. Goyf. Goyf is not a good draw. I can run out Goyf, it'll increase the clock, but I think I'd prefer to just flip the Delver and start actually seeing some aggro here. So, Goyf to the bottom, Bolt to the top. Not going to be Thought Scoured yet. I can Thought Scour my opponent and look for a surgical target. In fact, I know because I'll draw the Bolt. We'll wait a turn. Reveal the Bolt, get in for 3. Now I can Goyf holding up Spell Snare or Lightning Bolt. And if it all hits the fan, I can Thought Scour and try to Surgical. Alright. So we did take one Neoform deck. It's so hard to count those as wins. It's more like your opponent's deck didn't work than your deck worked, but we did put several layers of hate up. We were holding counter spells, we applied pressure, and that's exactly what Delver wants to do. So going into our last match to actually see if we can get a small payout, we are running several competitive cards, so not exactly the finish that I wanted, but seeing as how it's a Fringe Legacy deck, gotta take what we can get. I'm not really noticing anything I'd prefer to do other than have more targeted hate. I think I do need some amount of life gain in the side. We just don't represent a fast enough clock date around burn, and it's unfortunate that we played it twice. We're on the play. I get a Thought Scour or Bolt on 1. I get to see at least 2 more draws for my turn 2 land, and then I get to go off with Renin 6. This is so greedy, seeing as how we only have 19 lands, but I think it's worth it. Lovely. Land? Hey, it's a land! So we gotta play burn 3 times tonight. So Misty, get Breeding Pool. Wow, that's so bad. I actually don't think I can commit into Ren and 6 here. I think what needs to happen is actually Young Pyromancer because that gives me more blockers, or at least eats a removal spell. And if it eats a removal spell, I can create a token to chump block for a turn. I was trying to make an argument to go get Breeding Pool to get out Goyf because Goyf is one of the few cards that can actually clock burn fast enough, but taking the additional shock there probably wasn't worth it because that means I would have put myself to 15. Yep, and that's a good start. Let's see if opponent's willing to make this trade. I highly doubt it, but then this means I can go putting Goyf and take 2, putting myself down to 10. Or I can slow roll it a little bit and just Goyf next turn. Be at 12. Lightning Bolt targeting Peasy. Yep, makes sense. So right now, opponent's going to be taking additional damage from the Sunbaked Canyons and taking the shots from the Eidolon. If I just run out my Goyf here, it means that I'm going to have a better board state, and they're going to have to kill off their own Eidolons, otherwise they'll be locked underneath them. So I'm just going to get my creature out there and see how well the Eidolon lock turns out for myself. Because right now a bolt's going to deal 4 damage to them and 3 to me. Right now I'm just trying to figure out if thought scouring myself and hitting anything relevant is going to be worthwhile. There are currently no sorceries in the yard, but I only have Serum Visions in mine. I can hit Ren and 6 to put a Planeswalker in the yard. And I don't have any pre-board enchantments. So I think right now I'm technically ahead. Plus I'm going to have more cards above 3 CMC, which is actually none, so I don't. Yeah, if opponent tries to swing in, then they have to Boros Charm to make indestructible. They'll take 4 off of that, and I'll take 2. Yeah, I think I'm just looking for another Goyf. First player to cast 3 spells loses. And if we start going towards discarding to hand size, my Goyf is just going to get bigger. Delver's going to take me down 4, but start putting up a Flying Clock. Yeah, I think Delver's worth it. Because this means that they actually have to start attacking into my Goyf to get the Eidolons off the table. Or alternatively, just bolt it. But having an evasive attacker is going to be how I close out this game myself. I guess a Searing Blaze can get me here. Yeah, Searing Blaze will be able to kill Delver and deal 3 to myself, but yeah, this is going to be a fun standstill. opponent currently recognizes their position. So that means Goyf has to block 1, and I'll be taking the 2. Opponent will have to fling 2 burn spells at me to kill me, which is completely possible. Lightning Helix will technically get them back up to 10. Riftbolt suspended. Sure. You can see Spell Snare. So I think that means I have to point at a creature. I can Nimble Mongoose. It'll be a 3/3 to block, but then I'm just dead to any burn spell. If I defend, I'm just dead to 2 burn spells. Riftbolt's likely pointed at Insectile Aberration, so it's just going to get in. Man, I was feeling really confident about my position, and then they had that Lightning Helix. So, opponent's actually tapped out here. Am I supposed to just Thought Scour looking for removal / counterspell? Because I'm dead on board. Found a Renin 6, which means I get a Surgical my opponent, at least take a look at their deck. Oh, the trigger. Alright, well, this time around, I am remembering to take out the Surgicals. Delver's also coming back out. Again, just feels like a liability. EE, actually, I should have brought this in against the other burn deck, because that means I'm going to kill my Nimble Mongoose. Although, the other one brought in Rip, and that's why I wanted it. So yeah, that's correct. Doing on 2 means it's going to eat my Termagloyf and my Cindervines and my Renin 6 and my Snapcaster, but honestly, that all is fine. Then probably just means Nimble Obstructionist is a 3/1 attacker. Alright, well, really wishing I had life gain in my sideboard. Really wishing I had life gain in my sideboard. Not keeping a single pain land, just not happening. This is so bad. So very bad. So it's looking like turn 1 Serum Visions off of a Steam Vents. Well, I only have a Serum Visions to recast, so Snap gets to go away as well as one of the lands. And we get to look for a real threat, or a way to fill our yard. Spell Pierce is fine. Actually drawing the Obstructionist is fine, although I would have put that in the wrong order. I actually want the Spell Pierce. Obstructionist can come in his own dear time. Although putting a land on top would be a heads up versus Goblin Guide. Yep. Then this gets to be a breeding pool. I'll have done a heroic 5 to myself so far this game. Run out my little 1/1. Hold up Spell Pierce. Opponent's likely on Eidolon. That might have been a reason to EE on 2. But burning an EE early is just how you let your opponent play around things. I'd rather drop it and get a lot of value off of it. Yep. I would rather Spell Pierce a Boros Charm, a Lightning Helix, or a Rip, so single bolt gets to go on by unscathed. Although I'm likely using my mana next turn, so may as well at this point. I don't know. I kind of gave up on this one. Alright, well that's a Termagoyf, who's a 3/4, so he survives a bolt. Does not survive whatever Monastery Swiftspear is going to do to him, but... we can technically turn this around if opponent's sitting on a couple of blanks. Exquisite Firecraft to Termagoyf. There's already a sorcery in the bin. So I top deck a land. I've got opponent on a 5-turn clock, and I'm currently dead in 3 spells. Alright, well, I'll Nimble Obstructionist for funsies, and then we're pretty much done. I guess I could have EE'd for 0. That feels terrible, though. That's a Goblin Guide. Opponent has 2 cards in hand, which means Monastery Swiftspear can potentially get 4 toughness, revealing a Spell Snare. That's odd timing. So, alright, what the heck? I technically do have an out of drawing a land next turn, so take 4 here. I can EE on 1 after attacking. Or just, yeah, I mean, this technically works. Get in Nimble Beats. EE for 1. And opponent just needs a bolt. Sunbaked Canyon is a free redraw. It'd be really fun to stifle that. But need more mana. Revealing a Noble Hierarch. Noble Hierarch doesn't do anything here. Probably going to have to just die. Yep. Just die. GG, opponent. So, Dream's officially smashed. What are we looking at here? It's probably just me. I'm assuming if you've seen my videos, you know I like interaction. This felt like a decent deck had we not played basically 3 copies of Burn and 2 copies of Grizzle Daddy. We did interact with Grizzle Daddy. I didn't necessarily board correctly against Burn, but seriously, what are the odds we were going to play Burn that much? Grim Lavamancer's pretty good. If I'm actually building my sideboard correctly, I'm probably planning on taking out Nimble Mongoose versus Burn and bringing in Grim Lavamancer so I can actually shoot down their dorks. Pulse of Marasa, again, would just be great. If they kill our Delver, we just pick it back up, we gain some life, we run it back out, we continue the game. We don't get anything like Timely Reinforcement, so, again, if I'm referencing cards, I should pull them up. So, Pulse of Marasa, tuna green for an instant, return target creature or land. Land is actually mildly relevant in our deck since we're doing Ren and 6. We also get Feed the Clan. Took me a second to remember that one. I haven't seen it in a while. Feed the Clan is you gain 5 life. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you gain 10. Um, Actually, that new card that Grizzle Daddy's playing is probably pretty good. The gain 3 life at 6 if a creature died. That's probably worthwhile. More importantly, though, I did miss this one, and it was a card I was expecting out of Neoform. I actually would want Veil of Summer in the sideboard. I meant to put it in, but I built this deck like last Wednesday, so a week ago, and I just forgot that I wanted to include this. This would make it so that our spells can't get countered, our creatures won't get removed by blue or black spells. This is just like an auto include in any sideboard. The other one is Life Goes On from Amonkhet. Gain 4 life. If a creature died this turn, you gain 8 life instead. Gaining 8 life would have shut down Burn. We would have come so far ahead on it. We did show that we had some of the power by putting out a better threat or an evasive threat, but opponent was just able to call the shots on the board because we didn't have the right interaction, and we had to mulligan a little bit harder. 19 lands is I don't know. I might want to play with the mana base. We ended up doing a lot to ourselves with the Canopy lands, but the idea is Wrenn and 6 buys back the Canopy lands. And the fact that we don't get Wasteland really drives down the value of Wrenn and 6. I might actually take this to be a 2 of, if not maybe just a 1 of. The Ghostly Quarters probably need to be something else. We have so many hard mana symbols. Our only non-man hard mana symbols are Force of Negation, Termagoyf, and Snapcaster. I was trying out one of Young Pyromancer to see how that would work. I wasn't impressed. The Braid I also wasn't very impressed with. It could have been a Bolt, and Bolt could have gone to the face. Bolt could have removed creatures for 1 less mana against Burn. But again, this deck interacted, and I think we just had some poor matchups. But I mean, I'd play it again. I don't think I'd make a million changes to it, but I'd play it again. We probably do need the 4 Force of Negations, though. It's how Delver stays caught up with Combo and Legacy, so 4 Force of Negations is probably a requirement. I do actually still have this up, and I never really addressed it, and we can zoom in a bit. So for Force of Will or Force of Negation, the number of blue spells that you have for 2 forces versus 4 forces in the deck, if I remember, we either at 18 or at 20. I'm sure somebody watching the video is like, 13, you're an idiot, you said the number earlier, but we do have a pretty high probability in this number range to actually always fire it off. And versus Mono Red Phoenix game 1, we snagged their Faithless Looting out, was relevant, and then it's kind of relevant versus Burn. The number of times that opponent just fired off like a Boros Charm or a Lightning Helix that swung the game, it was relevant enough. Neoform would have just completely shut it down every time that we played it. Also snags Karn, also snags Mycosymphlatus, also snags Ugin. Like, most of the stuff we care about is probably going to get hit by this, and there's so many unfair decks in Modern that we probably just need to keep it in mind. If you want to find it, it's how many blue cards you need for Force of Negation on Channel Fireball. I think I literally just Googled how many blue cards for Force of Will, and it was top result. Frank Karskin writes some of the best articles for math. This dude is awesome for getting numbers correct in decks. So, yeah, I think that's where it puts us. I think that we had a decent amount of interaction, but our threats were maybe lacking a little bit. Surgical is definitely needed. I know that main decking Surgical is kind of a hot topic right now, but it's a necessary evil. It's the graveyard tax. You need a graveyard tax for Modern. And thanks for sticking around, everybody. Sorry it wasn't a better showing, but honestly, we played 3 Burn and 2 Neoform. Don't really know what else to say of that. In 13, I do a bunch of fun, out-of-meta, janky decks. If you have a fun idea and you'd like me to play it, feel free to send it to decks@squirreldealer.com. We have a whole catalog of our entire history up on YouTube. Just search for Squirrel Dealer. We're only a couple of subscribers off from getting a hard URL, so feel free to go like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I play fun and jank Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. Brad1 plays competitive Tuesday, Thursday. If you'd like to check out all of our content, we've built a ton of tools to try to make this helpful. Feel free to check out that Twitch page. Dealer Squirrel, hit us up on YouTube or on Twitter, but if you'd like to reach me out directly on Reddit, I am 13. I'll happily answer, review your deck. Same with the email. And thanks for sticking around, and have a good one, everybody. I will see you next week. Brad Wan should be playing something fun tomorrow night. Have a good one.